Hey, what's going on, my friends, and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today is going to be a weekly energy update from March 7th all the way through the 13th. Number one huge shift for real. A lot of you who watch my channel know I say huge shift a lot on my thumbnail, and to a large degree, it's an honest assessment to my perception, but in this particular case, there are degrees of shifts where one day you feel like you're a certain person with a certain set of issues, a certain set of circumstances, and then something happens, and then the very next day, you feel like you've stepped into a new reality. You feel like you don't even remember the old self. You're like a new person, reborn, and you're watching your life sort of shift itself around very rapidly to mirror this new state of being, this new version of you that you feel at home with, that you feel suddenly grounded in. Sometimes during our awakening, we do, in fact, go through humongous shifts where one day we're one person, the next day we're a different person, and it feels permanent because it is permanent. And this is one of those times. Now, sometimes literally right before we go through these huge shifts, we go through a massive purge. We go through an uncomfortable, not only an experiencing and a feeling of old emotions, old energies weighing us down, but sometimes they express themselves. And they manifest themselves in a circumstance, or a circumstance sort of comes along and draws it out of us. It reminds me a lot of a really intense ayahuasca ceremony. For me, the most notable one I've ever had to this day has been the third time I've done it. I remember the first couple of times I drank ayahuasca in Costa Rica. It was really, the first time was kind of interesting and healing and insightful. The second time was kind of mild. So I went into the third time, so we did this at the time 4 nights in a row. I went into this third night with this kind of arrogance. So I drank kind of a lot that night because I thought, okay, I know how this is gonna go. Even if it gets intense, I'll be fine. And man, oh man, I'll never forget when it came on like a freight train. It came on so powerfully, so forcefully, and it was such a humbling, rude awakening. I remember this one guy, Rayma Orr, he's another YouTuber, you might know him. He was telling me about ayahuasca before I went and drank it. He said, oh, she's the queen, but she's gonna make your ego feel about this big. And that's what happened. It was about 5-6 hours of just purging, and I can't even put it into words, but it was a rough experience where I really had to hang on for dear life for 5 or 6 hours. It was not pleasant. It was just being bombarded with my shadow and just being so aware of the folly and the error of my ways and mistakes I've made, the way I've treated people, just an example. But anyway, after that, once it all kind of came, once I came down, I was left, even though it was rough the whole time, from start to finish, rough, beyond what I could have ever imagined. At the end of it, I felt so empty, so spacious, so connected, so open. And I went back to my little room, and I remember I FaceTimed my wife. Luckily she was up. It was like 3 a.m, and we talked for hours, and I just felt so much love for her. I just felt so amazing. I felt like a different person. Not saying that you're going to experience that necessarily, but it can be kind of like that sometimes. So if you find yourself continually bumping into a certain energy, a certain issue, a certain circumstance that doesn't ever seem to go away, sometimes it comes to like a boiling point and a head, and you feel like in that time it's hopeless. I'm never going to get over this. I'm never going to get through this. I'm never going to understand this. Why is my life and awakening taking me into this place? And then Where did it go? Where do those feelings go? You go to bed and you wake up. The sun is shining and it's a new day, my friends. I'm not saying you're all going to go through that. I'm saying if you're relating with some of that, understand. Sometimes these collective energies, not sometimes, this is precisely what they're doing. They're drawing out of you, they're squeegeeing out of you ego, unconsciousness, trauma, lower vibrational energies that are not compatible with the core you. And sometimes they come out effortlessly, sometimes it's the opposite. Regardless, they're making their way out of you in a very permanent and very serious way this week. So it's very important if you relate with this. Not everyone's going to go through it like this. I did. Me and my wife had a whole thing just the other day, just like 2 days ago, where it was rough. We were in a really, really intense argument about this particular thing that we both have found ourselves, not really resolving for a long time, for a couple of years. And it came to this sort of ugly head where we are just yelling, and it's like our pain bodies, each of ours, was up at the surface and our shadows were just duking it out. And we couldn't help it. Neither of us. We were just like taken over temporarily. And in that experience, it felt so dark, so heavy, so hopeless. We both even said, we feel hopeless about our marriage. We really said that just 2 days ago. And then we didn't really even come to some sort of epiphany that night. We kind of had some sort of decent, half-assed sort of resolution. But from that experience, it was enough to where the next day both of us just made different choices in the way we related with one another. I don't want to go into too many details, but we just made mildly different choices because of what we learned about that type of purgative experience we were going through. And just as the day progressed, it was like magic. I feel like it's almost like we just met, like how we were when we were first dating. Just that magic, that passion, that love, that connection, it's back. And when it came back, we started rearranging the house in this weird way where we moved the couch up a little bit. We made these minor adjustments because our energy was cleansed, our energy changed. And all of a sudden we were able to pinpoint in our home where there was stagnant energy that had been representing our unresolved issues. So not only do you get to go through this big purge and feel a million times better, you feel free, you feel clean, but your whole life will start to reflect it. Number 2, fine-tuning your purpose. Just as the collective energies are, you could say, demanding a more aligned version of you in your life, in your affairs, in your behavior, your actions, your thoughts, and even emotions matching your potential, that also is going to play out a lot with your life purpose. Where the idea of a life purpose, it's not like there's this one mission you have and you find it and now you're a person who had found their purpose and the seeking is over. It's so much more fluid and dynamic than that. It's just as you change and grow and transform, you start to become aware of your place in the whole. And everyone has a place. And what you find as you fine-tune your purposes, you get closer and closer and closer to, we'll say, a form of expression, something you're engaged in that is more and more and more of a match for your core, your true, authentic self. It's kind of like how a long time ago, as you all know by now, I was a personal trainer. That was a level, that was like a layer, you could say, of my purpose. I was helping people. And then once I went through my spiritual awakening, I felt this calling to do something different. And then I started getting onto YouTube and helping people in more of a deeper spiritual way. And then that turned into coaching, and that turned into running retreats. So my point is, you're going to keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. Now, some of you will experience this in a different way, maybe discovering maybe one of the first layers of your purpose for the first time, which is just as valid, just as exciting. It's the same thing. It's like my mom. My mom, she's retiring in August. So she's already starting to think about, what am I going to do when I retire? For a while, she just was a parent. She went to this job she's not passionate about. She really didn't have, in that sense, a purpose like you might be thinking, even though there's always a purpose for everything, obviously. But anyway, she started thinking, what can I do? And what she's been doing lately, she's been going to these meetings where there are parents who have like addicts in their life. I was a drug addict, and it really affected my mom a lot, especially when a lot of my friends started dying, people that she knew, people that would come and hang out at my house that she really had a connection with. A lot of them are dead, unfortunately. And here I am living this really good life. And to her, she knows she's lucky. And she feels this calling, this pull to do something that can help in a situation that she's very much familiar with. And I was talking to my mom the other day, and she's just so excited. She's like, Victor, I can't talk. I'm at this meeting. And I talked to her, about an hour or two after, and she was just like fired up. Same way I'm fired up about making YouTube videos. My mom's fired up about going to these meetings where there's people gathering about addiction. It doesn't matter. This is a week of purpose. When you go through big shifts like this, it's inevitable that you just come into a greater awareness of what is in alignment with your soul's calling and what is not. And they both will stick out like a sore freaking thumb. Something that's not, something you're doing because you think you need to be doing, because your mind tells you, because the society tells you, because it doesn't matter. If the energy is out of alignment, it'll be really uncomfortable, really obvious. And if that's something you're rolling with, I'm telling you, man, the way to really succeed and progress and have a smooth awakening is to just trust your take on the energy. Nothing that doesn't resonate like repeatedly belongs in your life. Even if it makes sense on paper, 1,000 bullet checks, if you have a million reasons why it should be there, you think, but it doesn't feel right, it's not right. And you just don't know why yet, but it's not. And oftentimes, ironically, the things that are right, that do fit, don't always make sense in the beginning. So it requires faith and courage. But regardless, the way to really progress, the way to really have this huge shift be grounded in, is to follow the energy. Follow the things in your life that excite you, that give you passion and joy and love and resonate. And you'll have you can have a really profoundly eye-opening week where you're almost surprised at how good life can get. And life can get really good when you step into alignment with who you truly are and then act accordingly. Number 3, perhaps the most fulfilling of all, opening your heart. The more I've woken up, you could say, the more I've realized just how much my heart is closed. Just how thick the walls are protecting, guarding my tender, sensitive heart that's been broken. Remember, I was taking the somatic release breathwork certification program, and there's all these different drills we were practicing. One of them was, as a practitioner, being very present, nurturing, and loving when someone's crying, when someone's like going through a crying sort of fit. And we had to take turns. And when it was my turn to receive, I was supposed to pretend to cry. And funny enough, even though we were pretending, oftentimes it became real very quickly. Anyway, as I started to kind of pretend to cry, this person was like, nurturing me, rubbing my back, saying, it's gonna be okay. I could just feel their presence there for me. And what was so surprising to me, and yet so obvious, so strikingly obvious, was the second that person started to nurture me, I tensed up. I blocked it out. I froze up. I realized I couldn't let it in. I wasn't allowing myself to be nurtured, to be loved, to be cared for. And I realized, holy cow, I do that in a lot of areas of my life. And I think a lot of us do. So life right now might be bringing to your awareness the key areas of your life where you are closing your heart. When you are blocking out love, or maybe keeping your love in for safety. And there could be a gazillion different reasons why we do this. One that sort of an epiphany I had this a couple days ago, actually, in light of what me and Patty were going through. There was this girl I really liked a lot in high school. And I had no one to really teach me at that age how to like approach women or what their psychology was or how to sort of do that. So I did what a lot of sort of like nice guys do. I one day surprised this like friend of mine with like flowers, and I confessed my love for them. And I just really gave my love away so freely, and it felt so good. But as you can probably expect, they were like, I thought we were friends. This is no. And they were not receptive. And then they felt kind of funny around me, and we'd stop being friends. She didn't want to even come around me anymore. So I felt like I had just given my love. I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And I was met with like the exact opposite result I was hoping for. And I felt devastated. I felt heartbroken. So unbeknownst to me, I developed the belief back then that you don't do that. You don't just give your love because it's a risk. And also, women don't like that. Well, we were in high school. I'm married now. I'm 35, 37 years old now. It's different, apparently. And Patty was sort of demanding, she's like, I want to feel your love more. And because I'd been closed off so long, I was like, this is just what it is. I don't know how to do it anymore. But I realized just the other day that I've been suppressing my ability to love out of fear of it being not reciprocated or pushing away that which I love. So anyway, all of what I've been talking about, it's not me just preaching to you, it's things I've been experiencing myself, and the result has been me opening my heart a lot more. And I'll give you a little tip that can really help you, because once I realized this, it was still hard for me to do that. I became aware, like, okay, you're closing off, but that begs the question, what do? I couldn't just open my heart. So I started behaving as someone who does have an open heart. And at first it felt very foreign. It felt kind of like I was faking it. But the more I started to behave, it's almost like once I decided this is who I want to be. I want to be someone with an open heart. Once I just made that choice, and not just decided it and wrote it down, but actually started doing things that were more vulnerable, that were more, where I was opening up more. I started to feel it. I started to feel that love coming back up and out. And Patty's been definitely liking that. So my point is, if you feel kind of stuck, fake it till you make it. I know a lot of people, they hear that word, I've said it before, and they take it like this black and white piece of advice. I'm not saying in all areas of your life, fake it till you make it. I'm saying sometimes it can help to just sort of choose to be the person you want to be, even if it feels forced. And in my experience, some of the time, the state of being can sort of start to reflect it, even though sometimes it's like the opposite. You got to be it before it manifests. I find there are no rules. So that's just a little word of the whys that worked for me in this particular case. And just real quick, my friends, before I get into the tip of the week, I want to say one more thing kind of about all three of these things, just to emphasize the degree in which we are shifting and healing, the degree in which we are being asked to adjust our self and our focus to really align with our life purpose more so than ever before, and the degree in which we have the opportunity to open our heart is massive. Our spiritual awakening is not this sort of linear, progressive thing. It goes through these jumps, these periods of climactic results in a way. And this is one of those weeks. And to achieve that, to experience that, oftentimes we go through the whole gamut. The bliss, the love, the results, and the other side of that, the anguish, the pain body, as Eckhart Tolle would say. So if this is you and you feel all over the freaking place, I can't say this enough, but please be patient with yourself. Don't judge yourself. Don't beat up on yourself. It takes so much strength and courage and persistence to allow ourselves to awaken to the depth that we are being asked to awaken in general and especially this week. So have patience for yourself, and that'll help you have compassion and patience for others as well. Okay, my friends, it is time for the tip of the week. It says right here, be open-minded. What I mean by that is all of this implies for a lot of us some decently sized life circumstantial shifts. And oftentimes, exactly what we want from the core is presented to us, but there might be a little misaligned belief or something that would make us skeptical or kind of push it away kind of thing. And it's really good to just sort of, be open-minded. Don't be closed off. I'll give you an example. My friend Aaron, he just looked at this amazing house. He wants a new house. And he's looked at quite a few different houses, and I've talked about this before actually, months ago on a video about this particular thing. Anyway, he saw this amazing house a couple days ago, and he took this like 5-minute video, and he was showing me and my friend Matt on his phone, and he was just so excited. He was just so jazzed up. It was honestly probably the coolest house he's looked at in my opinion. Really beautiful. But he's like, the thing is, the direction, the direction the bed faces, his head will be facing north. There's nothing he can do about that. So everything's perfect, but his head is going to face north. Why does that matter? A lot of you are asking. Well, some people say it's bad for you. It's because the gravitational pull or something of the planet. I don't know. So he's almost not going to go through with it because of that one thing. Now, I kind of have that belief myself. In fact, my bedroom is rearranged in kind of a weird way to avoid that. But maybe it's time, and he suspects that maybe it's time to maybe just tweak that belief. Maybe that's the case for most people. But maybe my higher self knows it ain't going to affect me. Maybe the overall vibe of the house is so high that it's going to completely overshadow this one little minute detail my mind is focusing on that could potentially block something totally awesome from coming in to my life. Another way this played out for me, as I mentioned, me and Patty, we had this whole deal we were going through, and even though we didn't really resolve it that much, as I mentioned, in the evening, and we were going to bed, sort of like unresolved, and that night I had a dream of cannabis. It wasn't just the cannabis was in my dream. It was like somebody was trying to get me to smoke it. And they opened it up, and it was some sort of actually it was some weird cauliflower brand. It was a dream. But anyway, in the dream, it seemed appealing. And I was like, no, I don't need that. I can't do it. It's not going to be good for me, blah, blah, blah. And I just woke up thinking about that. And I kind of had the intuition that maybe it felt like the spirit of cannabis was trying to say, listen, I can help. But I have these kind of beliefs about it. You know, when I was I started smoking weed at a very young age, like 12, 13 years old. So consequently, I got in trouble a lot. I would get suspended from school. My parents would catch me high and stuff. And I had all this kind of trauma where I feel like cannabis is bad. Cannabis is like, I could be in trouble if I smoke cannabis. Anyway, so I have kind of there's a dynamic there, right? So I woke up thinking like, no, I don't want to do it. It's not going to be good, even though I felt the pull, felt the call to it. And sure enough, I did, because I had this strong intuition. I should just do it anyway. And it was like that sort of shifted my perspective just enough to see me and Patty's issues in such a completely different light. And that was like a huge catalyst to this massive sort of game-changing transformation we went through just the other day. So my point is, be flexible. Just be open-minded. Hopefully those two sort of stories was a case in point enough to help you be flexible. And before I go, my friends, I want to let you know that I have another YouTube channel that you might not know about it. It's a YouTube channel for people who want to become a spiritual entrepreneur. It's for psychics, healers, coaches, or people who want to be, also people who want to become like an online influencer and learn how to grow an audience like I have on YouTube and Instagram and so forth. Anyway, it's a channel for those types of folks. I'm gonna leave a link in one of the cards here and also my latest video there, and also a link down below to check it out if that interests you. I've had the channel for years. It's something me and my friend Aaron Dowdy do, but I'm coming back to it with weekly videos, just so it's like weekly free information if you're trying to start like an online spiritual based business basically. Check it out if you'd like, my friend. Love to see you over there. If not, totally cool. You'll still see me here every week with a new energy update every Monday. Have an amazing day, my friends. God bless you all. Peace.